Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome. This is Ramola D from Ramola D Reports, and I'm here this evening with Galina Kurdina, whom some of you may remember from a previous interview I've done with her. I think 2 interviews actually previously, Galina, right? And Galina is the founder of the Organization of Victims of Psychotronic Mind Control in Canada. She is a very long-standing activist in the entire neuro-targeted community. Many people know her around the world. She's engaged in many international efforts, and she is a voice for those who are wrongfully targeted and reporting neuroexperimentation, non-consensual neuroexperimentation in Canada. So today she's here to give us a little bit of an update as to the work that she's been doing, and also, I guess, to talk shop regarding a few items and of concern, both in her own experience with others in the targeted community and also with certain events that have recently occurred. So on that note, welcome, Galina. Thank you for joining me today.
Okay, welcome. I hope that you are still okay and all of us are still okay. I wish everybody to stay safe and healthy in this very troubled time of a world pandemic. Of course, because of this pandemic, we stopped all of our activities. Our group of Canadian and international targeted individuals, we started collecting signatures for the third petition in fall 2019. Stopped because of cold weather, of course, and after that, this pandemic we cannot resume. But as soon as state of emergency is over in Ontario, we will resume collecting signatures for the third petition that I hope will be tabled, presented in the House of Commons in Ottawa, Canada. There were 2 petitions tabled in 2011 and 18 in the House of Commons, and we received answers from the Canadian government. Of course, you understand that they lied, brazenly and blatantly lied, that they didn't hear about any of these activities in Canada. But we will not, these answers...
They sent you a letter, Galina? Sorry to interrupt.
Of course. Our petitions were presented officially, and they sent us official letters, official answers. These answers didn't discourage us, and we will continue our fight, because all these, all these attacks upon innocent civilian people, they are real. We have a lot of information about these experiments all over the world. DARPA experimentation, experiments in DARPA contractors, tens of American universities, that they got a lot of money and not too much money. Actually, Rice and Brown universities, they received like 19 million of dollars for creation of these layers of nanochips over human cortex and direct brain-computer interface, development of artificial intelligence, equipment, these nanochips, and so on. This work started in 2018 and must be finished around 2022, 4 years. Only tens of scientists were and are involved in these activities. So these numbers, they prove that these universities, American universities, they do not create these technologies. They just wash dirty military technologies that had already been developed for decades by hundreds and thousands of scientists, and these technologies, they do not cost $18 million. They cost tens and hundreds of billions American dollars. They are extremely expensive to create this artificial intelligence, psychotronic equipment, nanochips or other kind of chips. Trained personnel debug this, test and debug this. It cost billions of dollars. So all this real. You know that special rapporteur on torture, Nils Melzer, he reported to 43rd session of HRC, Human Rights Commission or Committee, sorry, in United Nations organization in Geneva. He reported it on the 28th of February this year, that cyber torture is widely spread all over the world, that thousands of people report about the same symptoms, that they are victims of this psychotronic. Psychotronic means remote mind and body control attacks. Today I have read a document signed by American general about how to say, training of personnel, special divisions. They execute electronic attacks in America and Canada.
A lot of things just coming out.
And this is official documents, and they attack equipment, of course, electromagnetic radio equipment, computers, right. But they attack live people, personnel as well.
Oh yes,
and yes, this is official document. So they carry out this training in America and Canada officially. So everything this is real, and you understand that what they do in Canada and America and other countries, I mean governments, they blatantly and brazenly lie to target individuals when they refuse to investigate.
Recognize, investigate, explore.
Yes, I hope that...
Confess, concede. You know, they lie, that they don't know anything about it when they're obviously involved.
Yes, of course, our goal is a class action lawsuit against Canadian government or other governments. But this is a matter of future. Maybe it will happen in several years later. I know that other targeted individuals, they started or are going to start lawsuits as well. For example, James Wall, but I do not know him personally. I have never ever contacted him in person or over phone or over Skype. Just we exchanged maybe 2 or 3 emails many years ago. But I know that he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, American dollars, to collect proofs, to hire lawyers, to hire private investigators, to pay for proofs from scientists. He mentioned hundreds of thousands of dollars, but he's a rich person. He's a businessman, inventor and businessman, so he can do it. I wish him all the best because his success in court will create a successful precedent for all targeted individuals. And of course, we will go after him. His success will help us and will help us enormously. I would like to talk about another lawsuit started by Catherine Horton. First of all, as soon as I hear the name of Catherine Horton, I remember what happened to Melanie Richen in Belgium. And I kindly ask all targeted individuals, please be very, very cautious when you talk to midwives or pediatricians or teachers in kindergartens, in schools or in colleges, principals in colleges, whatever. whatever personnel in colleges, schools, and kindergartens about your problems, that you are being attacked, you experience such symptoms, because first of all, these people, they cannot help you. They are not law enforcement. They maybe do not know anything about this. But these people thinking that they defend your children may transform your lives into hell. You may be deprived of your children. You may be involved in endless lawsuits and court cases. You may be involved in endless communication with lawyers, endless preparation of documents, endless examinations, and so on. It will become, this lawsuit, they will become your first, the most important job. All the rest will become less important. So I kindly ask you, please, when you talk to these people in kindergartens or hospitals or in doctors' offices, be very, very cautious. Because all of us, we know what happened to Melanie, and I use very soft words. Behavior of Catherine Horton when she shared this very private information about Melanie with a midwife in hospital. When Melanie was delivering a child, her daughter was very naive or immature and very reckless. I use very soft words describing her behavior there. And another issue regarding her lawsuit, you know, I received, somebody sent me a link to a video created by Catherine Horton and two guys, William and Kirk, former NSA officers, where they requested targeted individuals to submit new reports, new surveys. As I understood, sorry if...
Oh no, we've lost sound again. Oh. Let me send you a note. That must be the NSA listening in, because, you know, as soon as we mention the NSA, audio goes off. So, isn't this interesting? I wonder why they imagine that cutting off the audio is going to cut short the conversation, because clearly it's not. So, hello?
Okay, sorry, one more time. It didn't happen yesterday or day before yesterday. Today, when I have this very important interview, twice. So I apologize.
That's all right. I'll just edit out this bit. So
yes.
So you had just mentioned Bill Binney and Kirk Wiebe, and you said that they'd asked you to send information. So you want to pick up
unfortunately, Unfortunately, we have not received anything from them so far. Neither letters, no conclusions, no summations, no statistics. And it looks like they collected our data 3 years ago under pretext of survey and with promise to help us. Now they are collecting another portion of data with pretext of Catherine Horton lawsuit, and nobody knows whether we will receive any feedback from these people or not. Where this data go, where this summation and statistics and conclusions, where they are made, we do not know. So I publicly request from William and Kirk, please support us. please, as you promised, please send us your feedback, your letter, official letter, that these technologies are real, that people may be attacked in this and this and this ways, that people may experience this and this and these symptoms, and it will help us in our future court battles. At this moment, of course, I honestly informed members of my organization about this new request from, but personally, I didn't send them my new data. I am still waiting for their summation and conclusion made regarding our previous survey.
So it sounds like, Galina, you have a lot of questions about the survey, given that the previous survey yielded no information whatsoever, no response, no communication from them.
Yes.
So you have questions about it?
I want to mention that, as I understood, new survey comprises more than 90 pages. Sorry, there is no such a justice in the world who will read affidavit that comprises more than 90 pages. They do not need these details. They do not need this data. They need relatively short conclusions from experts. So this new survey, it looks like collecting data for somebody's scientific research, or maybe for intelligence, but not for court, not for justice. This is not my final conclusion about all these activities of William and Kirk. I just kindly asked them, you promised us for letters, official letters, please keep your promises. We started talking about former NSA agents, and maybe it makes sense to talk a little bit about other NSA agents, Karen Stewart and Stewart and McKinney. Sorry,
before we go on over there, Galina, I should also make a notation about the survey, just to let people know that
yes.
I too have reservations, but I have written them out in an article. I'm just trying to fine tune it. I will publish it this week, but you know, I'm not expressing most of my opinions right here because it's all in the article, and people can see what I can.
Yes.
I have huge reservations, as you do, and for very important and deep reasons. As you know, Galina, I was subjected to a huge slander campaign by Catherine Horton and by Karen Stewart. And consequently, and in fact, probably at the same time that Karen Stewart was busy smearing and slandering and libeling me to Kingdom Come, she was meeting with Catherine Horton, who was in the US at that time, who was meeting Bill Binney and Kirk Wiebe, and they were cooking up this plot to revive her affidavit collection as a survey collection with their blessings or something like that. Whatever they're doing together, they decided to work together. Now, I have huge questions about that. Why would Bill Binney and Kirk Wiebe start working with Catherine Horton when she's distinguished herself internationally and online in many, many deleterious and harmful and pernicious ways? She has caused great damage to people's reputations online. She's maligned people online, including me, quite extensively. I've written extensively about it. So why would two NSA whistleblowers come forward to support her? So there are some huge questions here that need to be asked. I have asked them in my article, and I'm going to be releasing it hopefully at the same time as this video, but sometime this week. And that's what I wanted to say.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Karen Stewart and Stewart and McKinney. It started not with Karen Stewart. It started with another targeted individual, Sherry Guarnieri. She found me on the internet, and she contacted me. And in her letters to me, she mentioned that she had collected a lot of medical records and proofs that she was a targeted individual. as usual, as I do with many other targeted individuals, I kindly asked her to share not her medical records, we didn't need it, to share names and some requisites of these doctors who helped her. Maybe their email addresses or phone numbers, so other targeted individuals may contact them and ask for help as well. Maybe they will help somebody else, and that's it. And Sherry Guarnieri, I don't want to say that my English is perfect, maybe because of drawbacks and my errors in English. She distorted my words completely. She started spreading lies that I demanded her private information and her medical records. Trust me, nobody needs her medical records. We do not need them. We have our own problems and we have to decide to resolve our own issues, not her. And after that, she started attacking us with letters that our attempts of our group, attempts of ICATOR group, to collect, to make examinations and collect money for these examinations and to get evidences for future court cases, that our attempts to collect money for these examinations are criminal. It was just clear and open threat and intimidation. And of course, I answered her and other targeted, informed other targeted individuals about her activities. All of a sudden, Karen Stewart popped up. I didn't contact her. I didn't even know her well. She popped up and she sent me a letter that's something, do you need to change your diapers and so on. After that, she started insulting me, like imbecile, obnoxious asshole. Sorry that I use these words, but it's true. I can prove it. I still keep this exchange of letters, that I was manure on her shoes, that I was lower than sheet, something like that. That I
And I
was,
should
yes,
I should probably interject to support that statement of yours, Galina, because I was on those email lists.
yes,
I was in fact on those email lists on both occasions. First, when the flare-up with Sherry occurred, and second, when the flare-up with
yes,
Karen occurred again. And you know, I just wanted to say with Sherry, as you know, Sherry is a good friend of mine, and I have interviewed with her quite a few times. I've also done print interviews and articles of her story. She's a wonderful person, and you know, the problem I saw at the time, as I tried to tell you both, was that a misunderstanding had occurred on both sides. And you know, I'm deeply sorry that that was not, you know, not smoothed over, that it didn't kind of go over. I wasn't successful in mediating, nor was anyone else, because clearly a lot of things had been said. And on the second occasion, I just wanted to say, yes, many of us who were on those group email lists were appalled at the language that Karen Stewart used
yes,
against you.
yes. I don't, okay, I don't want to argue because I understand that my English has a lot of errors and drawbacks and mistakes. So I don't, but I can assure you that I do not make mistakes when I say to you what Karen Stewart used in her emails to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely clear that she insulted me. She wanted to humiliate and insult me. And after that, she invented that I just pretend to be Mother Teresa. But actually, I'm Stalin. I'm Stalin. After that, listen to
Oh,
me.
wow.
I don't know what to do, to laugh or what to do, because everything
Yeah.
she says sounds either comic or idiotic. You know, and I answered to her, poor idiot, go to a doctor and ask him to help you. Maybe it's not too late. You know, we ended this way. After that, you know, one thing happened. This year, as I can remember, all of us, or many of us, we know about targeted individual Annie Kaspar. And she was in a desperate situation somewhere in Iceland, and without money in some awful hotel and so on. And she begged people to help her, who can help her. I know that many women, they sent her money and so on. And another former government agent, it seems to me that NSA agent, but in this case I may be wrong, but she was a government agent for sure.
I think NSA, you're talking about
Yes, Julian McKinney.
Julian.
She started mocking and ridiculing Annie Kaspar. Of course, I asked people, please do not, not only me, but other targeted individuals, they were appalled, they were, you know, they were outraged by this letter of McKinney, and they asked her to stop mocking Annie Kaspar. And I sent a letter that Julian McKinney had never ever helped us. All her letters never contained any useful or helpful information, any useful or helpful suggestions, any useful or helpful directions. Every time it was something opposite. After that, Karen Stewart popped up again. So this time Karen Stewart and Julian McKinney walked in couple. She sent me a letter that I was a former KGB agent. After that KGB defector, that I went from left Russia for Britain. I was interrogated by British intelligence. After that, British intelligence sent me to Canada in order to get rid of me. We separated with my husband, and my husband was a KGB agent as well.
Did she make up the story and just sort of put it in an email and suggest this was your life story?
Yes, that when I came to Canada, I started this group and I stole a membership fees. I bought many nice things with this money from other targeted individuals. And this information she got from a targeted individual in Canada who had some lunches or dinners with me. Of course, I answered her that really she must go to a doctor because we cannot help her. I have never ever been a KGB agent. I am opposition to connect with any special or secret services. It contradicts my deepest convictions, deepest. I have never ever been KGB defector. I have never ever been to Britain. I have never ever been interrogated by any intelligence. By the way, neither British nor Canadian. No interrogations. I would like to be interrogated and to ask them questions, you know? Didn't want
because
to.
clearly intelligence agents are involved in this entire fiasco over here.
But they do not.
You know, but it's
they do
kind
not
of
want to interrogate me.
It's kind of mind-blowing that Karen gave you a whole story. She had this whole sort of new history made up, and she laid it out in a letter and sent it to you. And you, of course, contradicted her, right? You told her, you countered the story, and you told her it was false. What did she respond when you said it was false?
First of all, I answered that I do not have any lunches or dinners with destitute, absolutely poor targeted individuals. It's impossible. We cannot afford even additional cup of coffee. And if we have, it's very rarely if we need them. So as I remember, we had one dinner with targeted, but it was on the 31st of December. We celebrated New Year. So we met.
Mm-hmm.
It was once. It was there was a group of targeted individuals, and how you can imagine that I meet some targeted individuals and share with them information. Please ask them. Please join our group and pay me a membership fees. I use these membership fees in order to buy nice things. I stole your money. First of all, it's impossible to imagine. And the second, I have never ever collected any membership fees. Our group is not official, we're not registered, and I do not collect any membership fees. I have nothing to steal. Everything, every word was invented by Stewart, taken out of thin
You
air.
see, this is incredible slander, and you know, Galina, this is exactly what she did to me. She has posted massive lies about me, pulled out of thin air, complete and absolute fabrications. She has done the same to you. And you know, I have written extensively on her. I have pointed out her many lies. I have gotten screenshots showing how these are lies, you know, in contradiction to her own previous statements and things like that. And, you know, I have a statement on my website actually on NSA whistleblower Karen Stewart, who, by the way, is somebody whose work I covered, whose story I covered, which is why, to me, it's been a double betrayal because I covered her story. I, in fact, told her many years ago, I met her in March 2016 when I first did an interview with her. I published a print interview, and after that, I told her, you know, it's shocking to me that mainstream media isn't covering your story. I'll be glad to cover it, and I will continue to cover it until these things are resolved. And you know, I have continued to write articles every time she sent a letter to the head of the NSA or any time she published something I thought was really important. I would write an article on it. I would write a preface or an op-ed. I tried very hard to promote and platform her work. I was so supportive of her voice and her work. We worked together for a whole year on Technocrime Fighters Forum. And then at the end of it, after Catherine, you know, began her campaign of smearing, slandering, and libeling against me after we broke up, that's when it appears Karen also began to do the same, all of which was exacerbated in November and December of last year when we got together and wrote a joint statement to counter Catherine's lies. We published a joint statement to counter her lies and to expose and publish the truth of why Technogram Fighters Forum ended. And then immediately after that was published, and toward the end, Karen didn't even want to publish it, even though she had fully approved the statement. She co-wrote the statement, she fully approved it, and then she said she didn't want to publish it because of Catherine's lawsuit, her court case that was coming up, etc., which we had never heard about, which was not a consideration for us because we were focusing on Catherine's lives. Catherine had lied, and we were trying to set that straight because she had lied about me and she had lied about our group. And so it was important to set those matters straight and publish the truth. So ultimately, that was indeed published, as you know. And then Karen turned around and started to go back on her own words and started to fabricate stories out of thin air and started to accuse me of all sorts of nonsense. And I had to spend oodles of time, you know, responding to the staff, writing rebuttals, thread after thread on Twitter, and then eventually article after article, and finally I wrote a statement. And I've had to make additions to that statement. I recommend that people go to my website. It's right on my front page, everydayconcern.net. It's my statement on NSA whistleblower Karen Stewart. And see the truth for yourself, you know, figure it out for yourself. Look at what's gone down here.
The same, if people want to know a little bit more about our exchange of emails between me and Karen Stewart, me and Julian McKinney, they can go to my YouTube channel, Galina Kurdina, and they will find there my videos, very, very detailed videos. But of course, everything that she invented was brazen, impudent, shameless lies, shameless slander. That I and my husband still lives in Russia. He died many years ago. He has, as I No, he had never been a KGB agent as well. Absolutely. When we lived together, no, he wasn't. What happened to him after, I don't know, because we divorced like 30 years ago. And we lost any connections and so on after that. So she invented all this, and if you think that she insulted this way only me, no. Other people joined me and confirmed that they were attacked by Karen Stewart the same way. She attacked them with enormous language, awful, appalling language.
Exactly. And she's still got those lies up on me, at any rate, up on Facebook, even though I've asked her to remove all of that, to cease and desist, because they're clear lies.
After that,
And
she started threatening us with her lawyer, that her lawyer will like our emails very much. And I answered her, Karen, this is my public answer to her. Karen, all of us, we are waiting for letters from your lawyer because we keep exchanges of email letters. We keep, so he will see that you started these fights. You provoked them. What language you used first, how you insulted us, that you forced us to answer you. You provoked all these battles. Nobody else. So we're still waiting for letters from your lawyer. And after that, I will be glad to join with some other people and go to court and fight her there. I do not mind. I'm honest.
That's pretty good that you said that to her, of course, because, as a matter of fact, the facts speak otherwise than how she has been painting them.
Yes.
There's just so much that she said that's absolutely obnoxious. And this is what happens, Galina, is when somebody starts lies like that. There's one group of people who begin to believe the lies, and there's another group of people who kind of egg her on and say, "Oh, I'm glad you're exposing this person," and they just sort of jump on the story and on the bandwagon here. So it becomes it becomes a whole field full of deception. As well as just pure slander and libel. But she's deceiving a lot of people in this fashion by publishing lies about somebody.
And I'm sure that a lot of people will join me and you, and we will go to court. We will go to court and fight. But after that, after my response to her, I sent an email with this words actually to her. She stopped communication with me. She stopped.
That's very good. Well, she did the same with me, thankfully, although she kept sending strange letters every now and then saying, "You don't have to respond to this." Well, why send me letters, please? I don't want to speak to somebody who does things like this. What I would like to say is that other people have contacted me and told me that they too had been slandered in this way by Karen Stewart, and that they knew of others who had even been, extremely emotionally attacked by these kinds of libelous, slanderous attacks, and that, this is a horrific kind of situation. So, and the irony is that she said to me exactly what she said to you, that you start the fights, you fight with everybody, when in actuality it's the complete other way around.
Of course.
So, this is dreadful all around, but I think the thing that's come out of this, Galina, is that many of us have experienced the same thing at her hands. And so when we exchange notes, we recognize the format, the methodology, the protocol. It looks just like infiltration and, counterintelligence to me. It looks like deliberate agent provocateur action to me.
Yes.
What does it look like to you?
Oh, of course. I call them Karen Stewart and Stewart and McKinney, con artists, slanderous, provocateurs, professional provocateurs, who start these endless fights, steal our time, energy, spread slander about innocent targeted individuals. Absolutely, this is my opinion as well. and I use these words when I sent letters to them. I use these words: government agents, provocateurs, slanderers, con artists. Yes, exactly these words. And now a little bit about Stewart McKinney. After that, after we stopped conversations, exchanges of emails with Karen Stewart, Stewart and McKinney popped up. So they support each other. One stops, the second starts, and so on, one after one. And she blamed me that in our letters, exchange of letters with Karen Stewart, I mentioned that I am in opposition to Putin, to his power in Russia, and I spent a lot of time on Russian websites and mainstream media websites and on YouTube, leave comments there in support of Russian opposition and against Putin. I just wanted to prove that I cannot be agent or something like that. And she popped up, and McKinney, and she blamed me. You cannot be an oppositioner because you support. I don't know why she decided that I support extrajudicial executions of KGB defectors Skripal and Litvinenko. One more time, out of thin air, without anything. And I had to answer her that my attitude towards these two guys is negative, really negative, because I have information exclusively from Russian mainstream media, exclusively. I have never ever read anything serious in British media or American media about these two guys. And what I learned about Litvinenko, that he was publicly accused in murdering of civilian people in Russia. And what we know about him, he didn't leave KGB for ideological convictions. He left KGB and Russia because of money of Boris Berezovsky, and left Russia for Britain for more comfortable life there. I answered to McKinney that this is not my final conclusion. We're waiting for information from another side, because before we make any final conclusions, we must listen to both sides, you know. Regarding Skripal, again, it was published in Russian mainstream media that this guy traded Russian issues and information of a Russian national security importance. Not information about Russian mafia abroad or members of Russian government who stole and steal money and deposit this money in Western banks. Nothing like that. He traded information about Russian national security. This is not my final conclusion about Skripal. I am waiting for true facts from British intelligence, what he did there. So only after that we will be able to make any conclusions about what they did and about their motives, because motives have always been much more important than actions. What is behind, what pushed people to do this or that. And I answered, by the way, I asked Stewart McKinney, okay, and what do you think Russia executed, as they state, executed KGB and GRU defectors and traitors, and what is your opinion about execution of American spies and traitors, for example, the Rosenbergs? And she answered to me that she fully supported this execution. And furthermore, she was disappointed that more people were not executed in America. She craved for more execution of American traitors, whistleblowers, traitors, and spies. So, our exchange of with Julian McKinney was a little bit childish. Every time when she blamed me, I had to answer, no, McKinney, it's not me, it's about you. You described yourself. When you blame me that I do not, that I support extrajudicial executions, murders of Russian defectors, Skripal, it's about you. It's not about me. I do not defend. You defend and even crave for more executions, and just a lot of such things. So she stopped.
And I should, yeah, I can also support that. As you know, I have been on many group email lists with quote unquote Julianne McKinney. I don't know if it's the real Julianne McKinney from many years ago who was the whistleblower who wrote the microwave harassment report, or if this is, a new person with a usurped ID. This is an intelligence plant in our midst, because she certainly has acted as an intelligence plant. I've currently gotten off all of those big group email lists primarily for this kind of reason, because of this kind of useless conversation that results with certain people simply holding the floor and stopping a real conversation, real solutions from coming forward. And, they're literally playing censor and gatekeeper, particularly about the technology that people talk about. So
Yes.
I can definitely say that, yes, it certainly rings a bell. And what this usurped ID or real person Julianne McKinney has done to you in this particular group email conversation
And
is
by the way,
very evocative of what she has done to many others.
and sorry, but I don't want to miss this. When you exchange all targeted individuals, when you exchange letters with McKinney, Julian McKinney, be very, very cautious, because what she did, I just opened my exchange with her. What she did in our thread of email letters, she accurately cut out almost all my letters and left only one. She kept all her letters.
Oh, yes. So
And
that's
she cut all,
deliberate removal of context. Yes, I
yes,
did notice
yes,
that when you sent me that
yes,
list.
yes.
Yes.
It took me like 1 hour to open all these exchanges to restore the whole thread. But be very, very cautious. She is a real con artist, McKinney. After that, she stopped this battle and started another. What she did, she claimed that she watched videos on my YouTube channel. She watched interviews with me. She read information on our website of our group. I mean, organization of mind control victims.com. And she made a conclusion that I can read it to you. Having examined Galina's website, this is a website not mine, but of our group, read her assorted petitions and affidavits, and listened to her interviews with Ramola, I have concluded Galina Kurdina has no control over what she does or says. She may be disregarded completely as being nothing more than a mind control puppet under the sway of a compute that tells her what to say to specific people. Poor dear. If you want to listen what I answered,
That's frightful.
yes, what I answered to her, you can go to my YouTube channel. I can read, but it will take a lot of time. It will take like 1 hour to read, or even more, like several hours to read all these exchanges. But I answered to her that, of course, I claimed, and I still claim, that I have been under influence and control 24/7, every day, 24/7. But control and manipulations, these are different things. And a level of manipulations over me is different. Sometimes I experience an enormous pressure on my head, hard pressure that I cannot focus, I cannot think. They delete my memory. This pressure deletes my memory, so I cannot even remember what I did 1 or 2 seconds ago. But of course, I cannot act under this pressure. But when pressure is less and I can walk, of course I walk. So it cannot be said that I'm 100% puppet, mind control puppet under the sway of a compute. Or if we decide, I can read you my last, maybe it makes sense to read my last answer. I called her executioners because she craves for executions of American spies. So I answered to her, American executioner, slanderer, and con artist McKinney, you lie that you read my story, or you're already unable to read and understand what you're reading. My perpetrators lived in Canada for many years, and I'm almost sure they still live there. I know their names. I sued them, and my perpetrators, and they didn't even respond me. They didn't even try to sue me for slander because it was truth. I live in Canada, so computers must be Canadian. But even if they're somewhere else, for example, in the United States of America, this fascist experimentation upon our family with perpetrators, equipment, artificial intelligence programs, and all the rest is completely sanctioned, approved, and protected by Canadian government. I do not even want to discuss it with the executioners and provocateurs, Stewart and McKinney. I do not know how to explain to these government agents, Stewart and McKinney, who pretend to be TIs, targeted individuals. They do not even vaguely realize what it is to be a victim of electronic harassment. It proves that they just pretend to be victims. They do not understand what we experience, you know? They are not in our shoes. Level of constant mind control effects upon me is extreme. It is 24/7. Sometimes I experience so enormous and so heavy pressure on my head that I feel that I can faint. At these moments, I cannot concentrate and think. My memory is deleted. Artificial intelligence manipulates me and simulates, mimics my normal behavior. They truly mimic my normal behavior. They rarely behave inadequately. They try to force me to act normally. This is the point. This is a real torture still, because I still can understand that I am controlled and manipulated. I am tortured with insomnia practically every night. Perpetrators, for example, yesterday, I was stimulated till like 5 a.m. This is perpetrators tell that they torture me because I resist and fight. As soon as I stop my struggle and give my consent to be a guinea pig in these heinous experiments, they promise more humane attitude towards me. I do not know how to explain criminals that I will never stop and never forgive the torturers, that they destroyed my health, my family, deprived me of my job, profession that I liked, by the way, money, property, everything. I will never forget and forgive this. Maybe government agents McKinney and Stewart will manage to explain this to their masters in secret services. I cannot walk all the time, only in periods when pressure is less. I can function with difficulties, slowly, with a lot of mistakes, much worse than I functioned before beginning of this experimentation, under control of perpetrators who scan me non-stop 24/7, but function somehow. Control of me is non-stop, one more time, 24/7, but intensity of manipulations differs all the time. Can artificial intelligence totally 24/7 suppress and manipulate me like a computer device? Yes, it can. But instead of it, artificial intelligence scans, controls me, and mimics my behavior. I still have some freedom in some periods of time, and I use it and work in these periods only. I apologize for errors and being late often, but I am sure that real targeted individuals and victims of electronic harassment understand me, since they are in the same situation. They experience absolutely the same symptoms. They are in my shoes, not in shoes of McKinney and Stewart. So I asked McKinney and Stewart, executioner and con artist McKinney, explain to your owners in American government that I will resist until my end. That's it.
That's powerful, Galina. And let me just say in comment that the people doing this to you, I presume they're conveying this to you by V2K, right? They have no rights. They have no business doing this to you. It is outrageous. This is not an action of intelligence. This is not an action of national security. Nothing can explain this. This is satanic behavior, what they are doing to you and to so many others like you, Galina, who are reporting this kind of neurotech assault. I think a lot of TIs, there's a range of assaults that people are reporting. Some people are reporting just directed energy assaults, microwave weapons, hitting their bodies, etc. That's the classic anti-personnel electronic weapon. But then there are other people who are also reporting the neurotech assaults, the V2K, the voice to skull, the biorobotizing, the taking over of the limbs, the arms. That is so invasive, so intrusive, so very wrong. And it's so unethical, it's so amoral and immoral that it cannot possibly have been approved. And if it was approved by some, set of agents sitting behind the screen, behind classified covers, in some office, in some compartmentalized black ops program, those guys who've consented to do this to others, they need to be incarcerated immediately. They have no right to touch the life, the bodily integrity, the will, the life purpose, the divinity, the energy of any human being. You know, so what anybody's doing to you is so wrong. So these people daring to speak to you and say things like, if you consent, then we are going to be humane. I mean, that is outrageous. That is audacity profound. So, what you are doing, speaking out, writing these letters, publishing this information, is the most powerful rebuttal you can give. And it's within this context that it's really saddening, it's tragic that you've got people who are sitting in these groups and who are literally playing gatekeeper and censor and stopping your voice from being heard and stopping your testimonial from being heard by other people around the world, as it should be.
Yes, of course, in our case, in case of our family, we are not any threat for Canadian or American government, nothing like that. They just used us as involuntary human subjects, I believe. Involuntary human subjects in this experimentation in order to develop this equipment, computer programs equipment, in order to test it, debug artificial intelligence programs, and train their personnel. We're just used as guinea pigs in these experiments because we were and we still are ideal targets. We are immigrants without money, jobs, without network in Canada. Of course, they make all efforts in order to isolate me. They cut all connections with other people. They intentionally
By
isolate.
telling lies, by slander and character assassination, which is pretty much the topic of what you've been speaking about here.
And Karen Stewart, I can assure you, I have this exchange. She promised me that she wrote in her email letter, you will be surprised how quickly you will lose all contacts and credibility.
Wow. So that sounds like a direct threat, in fact, a threat to isolate further and to character assassinate further. Shocking. Well, I'm glad that is absolutely not true, Galina, and it cannot ever be true because you have so many friends and supporters, people who see you for who you are and admire you for the work that you have been doing for years. I mean, almost decades, right?
Thank you very much. And I want to conclude because uh, this interview is very long, so it makes sense to conclude. Uh, I want to say to these people like Karen Stewart and Julian McKinney, and I think that this is your opinion as well. So on behalf of both of us, don't think that your threats or intimidation or insults or mockery can somehow stop us, confuse us, humiliate us, or even insult us. Because, you know, all that you do actually sounds either comic or idiotic. You look like ignorant, absolutely low educated people. You all that you say to us is just made out, and it is obvious for everybody, is made out of thin air. There is no even one true fact in what you invent about us and spread about us. Do not think that you can stop us. It's useless, absolutely useless. You just, it's true, you steal our time and energy. This is the only thing, but you cannot stop us.
Very brilliantly said. Thank you for that, Galina. I definitely second that. Nobody can stop people who are working in a space, out of their own motivation, initiation, and, initiative, and have been doing this for a very long time. And I think you and I are sort of in the same space over there as human rights activists. We've
Yes.
both been, working out of our own initiative for a very long time. So nothing that people do to us, especially in the way of slander and character assassination, can indeed stop us. And Galina, perhaps it's important to remind ourselves that those of us who are being slandered in this fashion are really people who are in some way standing out, who are actually doing work that is reaching and reaching our audience, our intended audience, and certainly the reason I do these interviews is to get the word out, to get the information out to the people, so forget speaking to governments. They do not respond, and as you say, they tell lies. So at this point, now that we've understood that, our job is to inform the people of the truth of what is going on. And I think we've done an immense job. You have done an immense job with your organization. And I think these interviews and speaking with people and doing these talks or whatever I'm doing does help as well. So I think people are getting the understanding about the horrific nature of what is going on and
Okay.
how important it is to fight back.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Galina. I'll let you go. You have to go. So we'll speak again. Thank you for this interview, and hopefully it'll have the intended
Yes. All the
effect.
best. Stay safe and healthy in this very difficult period of time. All the best. Thank you very much for your tireless work. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're very welcome. Thank you, Galina. Bye for now.
Bye.